And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. My name is Jim, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. This is a directed network, and I am net control. If at any time during this net should an emergency arise, please notify net control, and we will stand by and allow those in need to access this frequency. Is there any priority or emergency traffic at this time? And hearing nothing, we will continue. This net is all about ham radio. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV. That's Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, where we're now featuring about 1,180 QSO-VLOG Aircheck recordings. Also this afternoon, we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers, monitoring Rochester, New York, Milford, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, and Arlington, Virginia, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. And now the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. Also on this selector is our local receiver audio. And today, our local receiver is running 2 large 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 of this selector is a co-phase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. And we do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack, mainly because there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Also today, we'll be running our input source indicator. So when we switch from an Internet SDR receiver to our local 990 receiver, you'll be able to hear the switch and see the switch. You'll have to check it out on our YouTube QSO-VLOG video. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. And now, let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Yeah, Jim, good copy, or 9, 10 over 9. Picking you up 9 direct. Picking you up on direct on this hazy, and the sun is out, but there is some cloudiness out there in the upper 70s. And we had a nice test with Aeronautical Mobile Mike yesterday as he traveled from Sacramento, California to Philadelphia. So I'll turn it to you and see if you're copying me. I'm not sure which SDR you might hear me best on, but you're coming in direct, solid. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. I'm on Milford, PA SDR at the moment. I started off on Rochester, and I was getting about a 7 on Rochester, and so I went to Milford, and you're about 15 or to 20 over on Milford, Roger.
15 or to 20 over on Milford, Roger.
Okay, Roger. Well, that's just distance, and a lot of this, I believe, is sporadic E. We've had a tremendous amount of the sporadic E cloud, which is, of course, about half the height of the F later. Let me play a little bit of Captain Mike. He was over in Dubuque, Iowa, heading eastward and going at about 500 miles per hour over the land. And he was at 37,000 feet, where the temperature was minus 50 Celsius, or about 60 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, and the temperature on the ground at the same time was 90 degrees. 90 degrees. What a contrast. But here he is.
Yeah, if not later on today, we'll be looking for you guys tomorrow. 783.
Okay. Okay, here he is.
Yeah, sure, Charlie. We're at doing 477 knots, no tailwind. Flight level 370, just passing Dubuque. Kilo X-ray 4 Whiskey Charlie.
Okay, and that's Captain Mike. That is Captain Mike, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL, and I think the weather should be a little warmer than we have here down where you are.
Roger, roger, Charlie. Well, Captain Mike was sounding pretty good there. I hear what you're talking about, that impulse noise. Have you ever tried to run your noise blank on that signal?
Ever tried to run your noise blank on that signal?
Yeah, I have, of course. But I can't, in fact, I've got it on. And it was in and out, and yesterday it was on there at about an S5, but he was running anywhere from a 9 to 15, and once in a while 20 over 9, but you can hear it in the background. It's an intermittent. Nobody seems to be able to pinpoint exactly where this is coming from. It's over a wide area. But it quits, then it starts again, and part of the power line goes right through the woods. Very hard to get in there, so it looks like I might have to get the power company to really check this thing out. But when it's not there, it is unbelievably clear, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, roger, roger. Yeah, some folks up in this area were having the local energy company do some checking of their transmission lines, and I think they found quite a few noisy insulators. One, I think they measured the loss, and it was like 190 watts. This insulator was leaking 190 watts of power, and just imagine if each insulator even came close to losing that much power. The power company wouldn't have any power left over for the people, Roger.
They wouldn't have any power left over for the people, Roger.
You better believe it. The efficiency would not be very good. Would be not be very good. I'm very, very glad that all the high towers in the what do we call it? Northern Pass, the Hydro-Quebec. They were originally trying to get that through here. Oh boy, that would have been very close to me. And originally they wanted to get those towers 150 feet from where I'm sitting, and they could have gone up between 135 and 165 feet and be 4 wide and on 24 hours. Absolutely horrible. You usually ask how are conditions on 40 this morning, and I got a couple seconds of Ian down northwest of Melbourne, Australia, and that's quite a bit off the side of my antenna. I'm not aimed down there, but here was Ian this morning.
I think it might be up to you, Chris. AJ1G Mobile and Company, 73 Victor Kilo 3 Mike Oscar, now clear in QRT.
Okay.
In the group, I have no idea what.
And that was Mike out WA30 out in Weirton, northern part of West Virginia. So we had a lot of sporadic people going on at once. Okay, Jim, I'll turn it right back over to you. And I certainly hope this virus situation, we don't have it much up here yet, but it's mostly what we have is in the southern half of the state of New Hampshire. But with the 4th of July tomorrow, and everybody and his grandmother is on the road. We don't know what's going to spread up here or is not going to spread up. Within about 10 days, we ought to know the truth on that. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Roger, Charlie. Well, just listening there to your Australian contact, there was absolutely no impulse noise that I could detect at all in that transmission. So I hear what you're talking about, that impulse noise kind of comes and goes, Roger.
That impulse noise kind of goes, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, Roger. But that the noise was on 20 meters. When I worked Captain Mike, that is on 20. And that noise comes and goes on 20. But on 40, it's very, very rarely that I hear it. I do once in a great while, but it's generally very, very weak. Very, very weak. Okay, Jim, look, I won't hold it too long because I know there'll be many people that would like to try to test out rigs and see what it sounds like. So I'll say 7-3, and we'll certainly catch you on hopefully next Friday. So stay healthy down there, and just think that maybe by the end of the summer we won't have to worry about this COVID-19. Yikes! Oh boy! I'll be so happy when that is over. I might even have a dish of Mulligan's mush on rye. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Roger, Charlie. Well, gosh, I wish you all the luck in the world up there avoiding contact with any of those virus germs. But I think you're probably situated in a pretty good place that they would not be likely to have a problem. So, you know, I guess it's just a matter of hanging out, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do anyway. Threes to you, Charlie. Thanks for dropping by, and you have a real good afternoon and a great weekend. This is KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG network. My name is Jim, and this, well, you know, I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV, and we are recording now live till 5, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for one QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320, today is date. This is KC9VKV listening.
Date. This is KC9VKV listening.
Whiskey Foxtrot.
Station calling Indian Foxtrot. Come back slowly, phonetically with your call sign, please.
Okay, Kilo Delta 8, Yankee Whiskey Foxtrot.
Roger, Roger, and what's the name there, please?
Rob.
That's R-O-B, Rob?
That's correct.
Roger, Rob, and whereabouts are you, sir?
Martinsburg, West Virginia, 45 miles due west of Washington, D.C.
Roger, and are you running 100 watts, and if so, what is the antenna?
I'm using a MFJ cobweb antenna.
Roger, what was the radio again?
ICOM 7610.
Roger, Rob. One of my favorite radios is 7300 and the 7610. How long have you had that 7610?
Almost a year, about 10 months.
Roger. Okay, I've been looking at your audio, and you could use a little fattening if you might be interested. Well, if you want to fatten her up there, we usually start with the compressor. Engage your compressor at a 3, only a 3. Turn on the compressor and put it on a 3, to begin with, Roger.
Okay, I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it here. All I got is wide and off.
Gosh, should be have a grouping up on maybe up on the right-hand side there of your display. I'm not real sure on the 7610 where it is, but you should have a switch that gives you the compressor along with mic gain and stuff. Do you know how to get to your mic gain?
Yeah, I got the mic gain. That is at 85%.
All right. When you brought your mic gain up, did you also see the compressor control?
Not and something with not with and then monitor.
Yeah, this might also be called processor. It might also be called a processor, Roger.
Okay, let me check the menu. I got what's called voice.
Called what?
Voice.
What does, if that's a selection, what does it bring up?
T1 through T8. Receive set and transmit level.
Okay, if you hit transmit level, does that bring up your compressor or your processor?
It brings up TX level and default.
Alrighty. Let me give you some notes and you can crank them in later after you find a few things, Roger.
Roger.
All right, we usually start the setup process by bringing the compressor online at a 3. So the first thing is find your compressor and bring it on at a 3. After you get the compressor on at a 3, move to your ALC, and by way of using your mic gain control, adjust your ALC meter where it is running mid-scale to 2/3. So after you get the compressor in line, move to your ALC meter, and with mic gain in hand, adjust the ALC level to where it is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger.
Okay, now are you using the hand mic for the 7610?
No, I'm using a high-off boom mic. I'll tell you here in a second.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a high-off HM10XC.
Okay, well, like I say, we can't really do EQ until you get the other stuff in place. So after you get your compressor in line at a 3 and have adjusted your mic gain control to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3, maybe give me a shout back and we'll work on your EQ, Roger?
Roger, Roger.
So, Rob, let me say threes to you at the moment, sir. And like I say, grab that book. And while you're at it, as you're going through the book, why don't you make yourself a cheat sheet. Make a cheat sheet as you go through your book, so you don't have to go through the book again. And the cheat sheet would just tell you, how to get to the various items like your compressor, processor, your mic gain control, your ALC meter, and your equalization. Those are the main things in the transmit mode that you might need to refer to. So once you go through your meter, your book, and find out how to do that, to just make notes at the same time, then you don't have to go through that again. Roger?
Roger, I appreciate it.
Roger, Rob. Well, let me say three to you now, sir. Thanks for dropping by. And when you do get all that cranked in, give me another shout. If it's today, that's fine. If not, then next Friday. And also, you might be interested that we are recording. So if you're interested in where your audio is now, if you go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, where we're currently running 1,180 some odd recorded QSO-VLOGs. You'll be looking for one in particular that's called My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, what kind of signal am I showing you now? I got you at 5.8.
Repeat.
What kind of signal am I showing you now? I got you at 5.8.
I am copying you on my local antenna, and it looks to be that for the most part you're giving me an 8 over, 9 over, somewhere in there.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I'll start.
Roger, Rob. 3 that way, sir. You have a good afternoon and a great weekend. And like I say, if you get stuff cranked in there, give me a shout and we'll work on the EQ. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilowatt, Foxtrot 3, Delta Juliet.
Kilowatt Foxtrot 3, was that calling?
Kilowatt, Foxtrot 3, Delta Juliet.
Kilowatt Foxtrot 3 Delta Juliet. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. What's the name there?
Same here as Ron, Romeo Oscar November. We're located near Erie, Pennsylvania. Your name, your location?
Roger, Ron. My name is Jim, Juliet India Mike. This is the QSO-VLOG network. The call is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. We're located next door to Louisville, Kentucky, just across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. We're in Indiana, just across the river. Roger?
Roger on Indiana, Jim.
Roger. Roger.
Roger on Indiana. I was going to ask you for, take a look at your S meter and let me know if there's any kind of improvement for an S drop, would you?
Gosh, I only have you about 3 dB above my noise level, sir. Repeat your last request.
Okay, I just jumped on a different antenna, different radio. Do you hear me any better?
You wanted to AV an antenna, is that a Roger?
Roger that. Apparently you're not hearing me all that good, Jim. But apparently you're not hearing me all that good, Jim. But thanks for doing what you're doing, and really appreciate you letting me check in with you.
Roger, Ron. I am copying you a little bit better on the Milford PA SDR. If you wanted to check out an antenna, this may be the thing. If that's your request, I suggest a 10 count. Do you have an AV switch? Do you have an AV switch for those 2 antennas?
AV switch. Do you have an AV switch for those 2 antennas?
KF3DJ. No, I don't, but it's going to take me about 2 seconds to jump onto the other one. Over.
Well, the thing is, the only way you can really make a check between 2 antennas is if you have an AV switch and you can do it on the same wave. Usually what I suggest, is a 10 count. And, right between 5 and 6, you switch. You don't even have to, turn off the transmitter. You just don't talk. Between 5 and 6, make your switch, and so within half a second, quarter of a second, you can compare the 2 antennas, so you're catching the same propagation. Roger?
The same propagation, Roger?
You were not copying me at all on the other antenna. I already know this. So,
Roger, yeah. Well, I'm not copying you the best for sure. maybe another day we might have a little heftier signal to be able to check it. But, you know, nothing being said by bad conditions, because that's where you want the good antenna, in bad conditions. And you can always, you know, provided that the switch between the two antennas is within a quarter of a second, even in bad conditions, you can hear the difference. You know, the further time span between switch from one to the other, the more uncertain as far as the relevance of the two antennas, you know, because you begin copying the mail on a different condition, or, you know, possible different condition. So the best way is to be able to do it within half a second.
Condition. So the best way is to be able to do it within half a second.
Anyway, Ron, 3's to you, sir. Thanks for dropping by. And if you get a chance later on, my condition to you improves, give me a shout. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, the QSO-VLOG net. My name is Jim, and we're recording now live till 5. So if you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Recording now live till 5. So if you have a radio.
There was something echo station in there. Try again. Zulu echo station, to come back with the call sign again, slowly, phonetically, please.
Echo station, to come back with the call sign again, slowly, phonetically, please. Zulu.
It's not a good day yet, but I got Kilo Charlie something Zulu Zulu Echo. Try again the call sign, please.
Zulu Zulu Echo. Try again the call sign, please. Kilo. Zulu Zulu Echo.
Is that Kilo 4 Zulu Zulu Echo?
Is that Kilo 4 Zulu Zulu Echo?
Kilo Charlie 4 Zulu Zulu Echo, roger.
Kilo Charlie 4 Zulu Zulu Echo, roger. Roger.
Well, that's what I had, but you know, then I thought again on it and said, gosh, maybe that was a Kilo. But anyway, what's the name there, sir?
It was a Kilo. But anyway, what's the name there, sir?
Gosh, you know, you are right at my noise level, and you're right at Milford PASDR's noise level. So this, you know, maybe just a couple of dB above the noise level. I'd love to know what kind of antenna you're running there, because, you know, there are all different kinds of antennas, and I just really appreciate the dipole antennas are just tremendously beneficial, in my estimation. Now, you know, I guess everybody's got their ideas of antennas and whatnot, but in my observations, I have always found a no SWR resonant dipole antenna to be very, very difficult to outdo, Roger. So I don't know if Kilo Charlie 4 Zulu Zulu Echo is still out there or not, buddy. You still a copy?
You still a copy?
This is Kilo Charlie 4, Zulu Echo. How copy now? Over.
A lot better. What'd you do? Put an antenna on?
What'd you do? Put an antenna on?
You got me laughing. I went out and threw a switch to the other antenna. I've got the first antenna is a Sierra Echo Henry Foxtrot X-ray -80. You may have seen those.
Roger. Well, I'm not real sure about your first antenna, but your second antenna is working pretty well, Roger.
Working pretty well, Roger.
Yeah, it's a polar dipole, the second antenna. It's got a lot of, look more height and a lot more noise reduction on it than that vertical does.
Roger. And what's the name there?
The name is Tommy. I think I worked you once before. Probably a month or so ago, maybe. And here's FE991A, and I'm in Jamestown, North Carolina. And it's hot here today, extremely hot. And I was just pulling out that vertical. I wanted to get on and see how the band sounded, and it sounded quiet with the vertical. But noisy, quiet and noisy. And whenever I called you and you couldn't hear me, I knew I had to switch antennas. Over.
Roger. Now, I'll give you a little tip, and you probably know it already, that the receive level gives you a lot of information about what the transmit signal to the other party is going to be. In other words, if you are AVing a vertical and a horizontal antenna, and you can barely hear somebody on the vertical antenna, but they sound much better on the horizontal antenna, you can pretty well assume that if you transmit to them on the horizontal antenna, they're going to hear you a whole lot better than on the vertical antenna. That is because the path is shows itself by the antenna that you copy the mail on best. Usually you will transmit to the other party on that antenna best. Roger?
Roger.
I'm in total agreement with you. Total agreement. You couldn't be more correct about that. And to me, all the games are getting an antenna for a radio system start with. I mean, you have the best amplifiers, the best radios, but you don't have a good antenna. To give that games to really you're in trouble.
Roger, Tommy. Now, we can fatten your audio up if you might be interested in that.
Sure, I'll listen to it last time you did that. That was pretty neat. Over.
All right. If you're interested, let's do it. Engage your compressor at about a 3. Get that compressor in there and turn it to a 3. It's just a token amount, but it's exactly what you need to do what we need to done, Roger.
I've got to find it.
Now, you know where your compressor processor is, don't you, Tommy?
Nope. To be honest with you, I'm not going to lie to you. We've got too many bells and whistles on this radio.
All right, so there's some things that you need to make it a point to become familiar with. Cheat sheet, note to self, make a cheat sheet of the important things that I need to find about this radio. So when you go to the book and you find them, you write down a cheat sheet about how to get to them. Thing is, the compressor processor, you're going through your book, it tells you where it is, how to get to it, and you make a note, boom, boom. And then mic gain, boom, boom, make a note. ALC control meter, make a note. Equalization, make a note. So you've got 6 or 7 notes to self about where things are on your radio, and those 6 things will probably be just about all you need on knowledge of that radio. That will take you a long ways, Roger.
I know when my mic's over here, and I just found found the compression meter and ALC meter on the radio. I don't have radio notes, maybe I'm not the hand. On my old radio, the 70X, the compressor is a knob that we can return.
Kind of went down to my noise level just a little bit, Tommy. What radio are you running, sir?
What radio are you running, sir?
KC991A.
Okay, I'm copying you down towards my noise level. Let's see, where were we? Oh, you were going to make some notes about how to get to certain things on your radio, Roger?
On your radio, Roger?
Roger on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, I gave you those that are the most important ones, so I hope you made notes about those. Roger, did you?
Made notes about those. Roger, did you?
All right, so I'll, you know, you'll need to go find those and make notes about how to get to them, and so you know you'll be able to find them as we discuss the needs. Roger.
Discuss the needs. Roger.
Roger on that. I'll take a break and look for me. Listen to you.
Roger, and just out of curiosity, we are recording now live till 5, so we are recording, have been recording, so if you want to hear where you are at the moment audio-wise, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for my group Aircheck 7320. You'll be looking for a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 7320, and it'll take us a couple of days to get it uploaded. Roger?
Get it uploaded. Roger?
Roger.
Roger, Tommy. Okay, so let me say threes to you, buddy. I appreciate you checking by, and like I say, you know, for us to be able to do some business there as far as getting your radio a lot better, you know, you do need to find those how to get to those places, and so it's a lot easier, a lot less pressure on you to be able to do a little homework and get a cheat sheet going about how to get to that. But what it is right now, your radio is having about a 10 dB dynamic range in transmit, and we want to fatten that up to about a 3 dB dynamic range. Dynamic range is the difference between the least amount of audio and the maximum amount of audio that occurs when you speak. So unprocessed audio is pretty much like a 10 dB dynamic range. So we want to take that and just crush that down to about 3 dB, and that makes a lot fatter signal for transmitting. But we want to do it with finesse. We don't want it to sound like it's up against the wall and you're trying to reach the moon, you know. Our setup is a very transparent setup that just is loud. So we'll say threes for now, Tommy, and we'll catch you later. KC9VKV, listening.
That sounds like a winner. I found the text in this little sheet book I've got, and it says 5 to 10 dB level. And it's a process you go through with punching up keys and using the microphone. So 73, you have a good one, and happy 4th. 73. 84 is even 3.
Roger, Tommy 3 is happy 4th. Alrighty, catch you later. The KC9VKV, QSO-VLOG net from now till 5. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Give me a shout.
November 0, X-ray Lima.
November 0, X-ray Lima. This is KC9VKV.
This is KC9VKV.
Yeah, what is the call sign there? X-ray. I mean, what is the name? X-ray Lima.
What is the name? X-ray Lima.
Yeah, X-ray Lima, I'm only copying you like at a dB or 2 dB above my noise level, but what is the name there?
What is the name there?
Gosh, I just switched over to my local antenna. I've got a better copy on you. Try your name again, please.
Roger, the name here is Napoleon. The name is Napoleon, November Alpha Papa, Oscar Lima, Echo Oscar, November, Napoleon, QSL.
Sounded like Napoleon.
Roger.
All right, gosh. Now, how did you wind up with a name like Napoleon? X-ray Lima, do you copy KC9VKV?
Sir, yeah, you're about a 5'9". You're 5'9" here in Wisconsin. You're 5'9" in Wisconsin. I'm operating on a dipole about 20 feet up in the air with an ICOM 706 QSL.
Okay, you're operating on a dipole. Now, is this a resonant dipole? Are you having to use an antenna tuner?
An antenna tuner.
Okay, so what you really should do is, if you get a chance, is to go work on that dipole antenna to where your SWR is reduced to a 0.0 something. That is entirely feasible for a dipole antenna to be able to bring that SWR to almost nothing. And then we would call that a resonant dipole antenna. And the way I do it is I use the negative side, the ground side of the dipole, as the SWR adjustment. And I'm constantly adjusting minimum SWR on the ground side of my dipole antenna. And on the positive side, I use that to bring it back onto the frequency that I'm looking for, which is usually the absolute center of the band that I want to operate on. I want to make my SWR adjustments right in the center of that band, so I can go all the way to either side without incurring much SWR. So again, you're making your RF, your SWR adjustments on the negative side of your dipole and bringing it back onto the frequency that you're looking for on the positive side. And you go back and forth, and you never cut anything off your dipole. Never cut that dipole length. Just bend it back on itself. And just keep bending it back on itself, because you never know when you need more, and then you're going to have to wind up using a split bolt or something to put more wire onto your antenna system. So if you never cut it, you just bend it back on itself. You have it there if you need it later. Roger?
There if you need it later. Roger?
So again, you are right at my noise level, and because of that, I'm thinking, gosh, if he were to be running a resonant dipole antenna, I could probably maybe hear him real well, or much better than what I am, because an antenna tuner does not improve the efficiency of your antenna. If your antenna is not good and you use the antenna tuner to make it work, what it does is it gets it in condition for the radio to work it, but it does not make it a better antenna. Just using your antenna tuner, it just makes it work just as bad as you know, it did. So the real secret to it is to get that that dipole antenna and make it a resonant antenna, so you don't have to use the antenna tuner. And again, it's very easy to do. And if you get that minimum SWR, you know, like a 0.05 or something like that, if you get that middle band, then you can go to either end of that band, and you still won't need an antenna tuner. Roger, roger. Well, Napoleon, I have lost you, buddy. I don't know, you know, unfortunately, where, you know, this is not a good day, obviously. So let me say threes to you, and we'll be looking for you maybe later on if conditions get better. Try checking in. If my signal comes up to you, then give me a shout. Now, I am running a KW, and let me drop down to 100 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 100 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 100 watts. And now back to the KW, KC9VKV. And this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. And gosh, I've been checking the mail on the my Georgia antenna, and I think what I want to try to do is use another Georgia antenna. If I don't, let me check. Maybe I have it there. Let me try Atlanta. Let me just see if that will come up. Hey, gosh, maybe. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4 Atlanta.
Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4 Atlanta.
Yes, Atlanta is looking pretty good. I just had something else happen on my video recorder. This is an interesting afternoon. Let me go here. All right, we're back together, and gosh, Atlanta sounds a whole lot better. I was using Simmons Island, which is another Georgia SDR, but I'm copying the mail on Atlanta. Anybody down south towards Florida? Georgia, this is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor looking.
Victor Kilo Victor looking.
Anybody in Georgia or Florida?
Anybody in Georgia or Florida?
And nothing heard, but I sound pretty good coming back to myself. That's usually the way I check out SDR capabilities. This is KC9VKV Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Here.
I heard somebody say something on Milford. This is KC9VKV station calling. Repeat the call sign slowly, phonetically, please.
The call sign slowly, phonetically, please.
November 8, Romeo, Lima, Sierra.
November 8, Romeo, Lima, Sierra. What's the name there?
Lima, Sierra. What's the name there?
The name is Bob, but we're portable in West Virginia, so we're in Thompson, Georgia.
Let's see, you're portable in West Virginia. What about Georgia?
West Virginia. What about Georgia?
Home 58 is Thompson, Georgia.
Ah, roger that, roger that. Well, but you're in West Virginia now, Roger.
But you're in West Virginia now, Roger.
Yeah, we're going to be here for about 10 days.
Ah, is this a vacation-related trip?
Trip?
This is our second home here in West Virginia.
I see, I see. Now, you have a radio room in both places?
A radio room in both places?
Yes, sir.
Roger, roger. And so how often do you switch back and forth from the one state to the other?
The one state to the other.
Well, last time we was here was in Thanksgiving, November.
I see, I see. And gosh, now it would drive me nuts to have a home away from home and wondering, do you have somebody there that, do you have large dogs, or do you have some way to make sure that that other place is safe while you're not there?
Place is safe while you're not there? Oh, yeah. I got a brother-in-law lives close to my neighbors. They watch out for stuff here.
Yeah, Roger. Right. Well, you know, this day and age, boy, you know, you have to be careful. Well, you're sounding great there. What radio was that you're running?
What radio was that you're running? I'm running a Yaesu 840. I run about 50 watts to a dipole up about 30.
Roger. Now, why did you choose 50 watts? Does that radio do 100 watts?
Does that radio do 100 watts? The radio will do 150, but I bought the 12 amp power supply, and it cuts off if I crank it up.
Oh boy, no. I understand, but that's unfortunate, because you should really be Katie bar the door on that radio. I would be anyway. I would get me another power supply, even though I had the one. I would have to get. I'd have to be able to drive that burger.
I ordered one today. It should be here Monday.
Yes, sir. That's the way to do it. No sense in riding tourist when you can ride first class.
Yeah, I got an amplifier sitting here, a little solid-state amplifier to put out about 400 watts. And then I just bought a new amplifier at home that put out a kilowatt. It's a Mercury 3 solid-state.
Roger. Well, you know, I guess solid state's gonna be coming along there. I still am a tube man myself, and for some reason, solid state. Oh gosh, let me see how to put this. Solid states many times sounds like it's up against the wall when it's loaded out to where the factory says it should run. You know, now I'm not saying anything, but I think sometimes, you know, there's not enough. Well, let's put it this way: the sideband signal is just hits that tube just a little harder than what that tube wants, and it might be just leveling off a little bit. I don't know. They just sound a little tight to me, Roger.
A little tight to me, Roger. Roger, 11 Ameritron. Yeah, I've done worked on it about 3 times, and it crapped out on me again. And I just put it under a shelf there and decided I was going to buy a solid state.
Oh, Roger, yes, I understand that also. Now, I'm running an oldie Heathkit SB220, and that thing has just been, you know, we pushed it hard for 3 years, and it just keeps on going, Roger.
Roger, on that there. Well, you got good audio. You're a good 5.9 signal in the southern West Virginia.
Roger. Well, let me just give you an idea here. This is the KW 12345, and this is 100 watts 12345, 100 watts 12345, and there is a KW 12345.
KW 12345. Yeah, Roger. What's your location?
We're just across from Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Roger.
Okay, right at Louisville there. I have a son who lives in Catlettsburg, Kentucky.
Kentucky's a beautiful state. You know, like I said, we're so close. I feel like part of Louisville. I mean, I can see downtown from here about 4 miles away.
Roger there. That's good there. Yeah, he bought some land there in Kentucky there, and trying to get it in the process of getting the footers boards for the foundation for his new home, but it's been raining so much up here the last 3 or 4 months, he ain't had a chance to get the footers in the ground.
Roger, yeah, it has been raining quite a bit. I have noticed that. I've had my antenna disconnected quite a few nights because of the rains, Roger.
Yeah, Roger on that there. $8 Friday.
This is KC9VKV.
This is KC9VKV.
Anybody else wanting to jump in, or we just got it there?
This is a control net, so I'll say threes to you, buddy. Appreciate you checking in. Your audio sounds good. I don't think you need any setup there. I would keep on keeping on, Roger.
Keep on keeping on, Roger.
Hey, Roger, on that there. I'm running the processor also.
Yeah, Roger. Our normal tune-up, like I say, we're looking for a 3 dB dynamic range in transmit, and we do suggest engaging the compressor, but only at a 3. It's a token amount, but it does exactly what it needs to do. And then once you get that compressor in there, you move to the ALC with mic gain in hand and adjust the ALC to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. And right there, you should wind up with about a 3 dB dynamic range, which is a very, very fat, but a very transparent signal, Roger.
Transparent signal, Roger.
Hey, Roger, on that there. With these old Yaesus A40, they're pretty simple radios. Don't take much of a genius to operate one. So anyway, thanks for letting me jump in, and we'll be with you again there later in the week here, I'm sure. It ain't on us.
Roger, Bob, and for your information, we have been recording live, and we will be recording till 5. So if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do a call out or search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page here, we're right now running about 1,180 some odd recorded QSO-VLOGs, but you'll be looking for one in particular called My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320, which is today's date. So, 3 Steve Bob, and have a great day. And it'll take us a couple of days to get this QSO-VLOG loaded up to YouTube. So we'll say 3s for now. Have yourself a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend coming up. And this is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. Station calling, there's about 3. Try again, loudest one. Tango Oscar Foxtrot station. Come back with the call sign slowly phonetically.
Kilo November 4 Tango Oscar Foxtrot. Mike in Tennessee, QSL.
Roger, Mike in Tennessee. And what radio are you running, Mike? Boy, now I went all the way around. I am running 4 internet SDR receivers, and I thought surely Georgia would have a better copy than I did, but I think you were best on my local antenna, Roger. Seems like the bottom has fallen out, Mike. I was copying you on my local antenna at about 7 or 8 dB above my noise level, and then bingo, Mother Nature struck. So try it again and see if Mother Nature is still not cooperating with us. This is KC9VKV. Tango Oscar Foxtrot, I copy you back in there, but you're only about a dB above my noise, Roger. Roger, Mike, 3's that way, sir. Sorry, conditions are just not very good today. some days, are like that. Today is one of those days where Mother Nature is just being not cooperative. So, threes to you. This is the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo 4 Delta. Kilo X-ray 4.
Kilo something Delta. It was a very loud station. Kilo X-ray something Delta.
Oh, this is Kilo X-ray 4 X-ray uniform.
Kilo X-ray 4. Repeat the rest.
Kilo X-ray 4 X-ray uniform.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name there?
The name is Joey, Juliet, Oscar, Echo, Yankee. I'm in the state of Virginia, Victor Alpha.
Roger, Roger, your signal is kind of up and down, and I'm sitting here trying to write and jockeying this volume control at the same time. Sometimes it's difficult to get all the information, particularly if the signal is up and down, because I have what's called a little trim pot that's right next to my PTT, and so I write level, because everybody's signals up and down, and when signals start in and out real quick, sometimes it'll drive you nuts trying to get the right level and write at the same time. Roger?
Yes, sir. I was just sitting here listening to you. You talked to some of the other stations, watching the signals go up and down there, and I've got you around a 5.8 here in Virginia this afternoon.
Roger, your signal is like going from about a 12 over back to about a 4. So it's up and down. What did you say your name was again?
The name is Joey, Juliet, Oscar, Echo, Yankee.
Roger that, sir. And what radio are you running?
Kenwood TS2000 operating at 100 watts.
TS2000?
Yes, sir. Operating at 100 watts into a 500-foot wire loop antenna and a DX engineer balance.
Roger that. And what's your location?
I'm in Marion, Virginia.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, like I say, you're in and you're out. Mother Nature just can't make up her mind, and when you're in, like I say, you're about a 12 over. Roger.
Roger on that. I have a little Ameritron amplifier here. I do not have it turned on right now. I just kind of enjoy playing around here with the 100 watts on the radio there, and not running the amplifier, but some days it just gets so bad, I have to turn it on there. Roger,
have you had to turn it on now?
No, it's sitting here completely turned off, not even warmed up.
Well, yes, it's entirely up to you. I mean, it's your Aircheck. We are recording. I would have thought that one might have wanted to put the best foot forward as we are recording, and you could be able to go to YouTube and hear your recording. And I'd much rather, if I were you, hear it at with the stuff turned on than at 100 watts. But everybody has to make their own decisions. Roger.
Roger on that. I enjoy playing, like I said, with the radio, just a straight radio. I talk around the world on the 100 watts. Hardly ever turn the amplifier on.
Roger. Well, that's worth thinking about. Not for me, but I guess some folks would. I guess the challenge is the thing. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, a friend of mine let me use a QRP radio of his the other day, and I made some really good trips on just 5 watts even, and enjoyed that. Much less the 100 watts with the Kenwood seems to do real good for me.
Roger. Well, do you have an output control for that radio?
No, it's just 100 watts through the radio, and I run the antenna tuner on the radio. I don't even have the LD or the LDG 1000 antenna tuner turned on unless I turn the amplifier on.
Roger. Well, at least your SWR has got to be probably under a 3 for the internal. I'm assuming that you're using an internal antenna tuner?
Yes, the internal antenna tuner on the Kenwood, and the lights have one SWR mark there, just barely.
Roger that. Well, you know, you're sounding good there, and if you want to hear it, if you go to YouTube within the next couple of days, it'll take us a couple of days to upload it to YouTube, but if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that's Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320, which is today's date, Roger.
Roger on that. I got it jotted down here on my notebook there. In a few days I'll pull up your YouTube page and look for it. I want to thank you for coming back to me there, and I don't want to hold you up and let you get some more stations checked in there with you, James. So I'm going to say 73 front KX4XU.
Roger, Roger. 3 Z-Way, sir. Have a great afternoon, a beautiful weekend. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo Charlie 4-9. Victor Kilo Victor. This is Kilo Charlie 4. Zulu Echo. Over.
Zulu Zulu Echo, the KC9VKV.
I just want audio point now. Make sure it's ready.
All right, talk to me. Give me about 10 seconds of the best thing you like about your radio, and let me see if I can find a better path, Roger.
A better path, Roger.
Across the band, the activity may or may not be going on. So it gives me a very good visual of what I'm doing. The automatic split is fine. There's some things about it I do not like. I do not like having the CWC port on the front. I like it on the rear. And I like to keep it plugged in. It gets in the way. In fact, I don't like any microphone port, so
Roger, tell me, gosh, you kind of faded out there at the end, but have you found most of those items that we were looking for earlier?
Yes, I did.
All right, let me just try to, I'll talk to you in the blind there because you are right at my noise level, but let me give you a setup now. Like I said, we want to engage that compressor at a 3. Turn the compressor on at a 3, then move to your ALC, bring your ALC meter up, and with mic gain in hand, adjust the ALC by mic gain to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. You want that mid-scale to 2/3 on the ALC by way of adjusting your mic gain control. Roger?
Roger on that, and that's exactly where it's at. Set it to the ALC meter is just about center on the scale, a little bit below it, and then the mic gain set at 30.
All right, I'm looking at your audio on a VU meter, and I can tell by the VU meter your dynamic range. And the thing is, it looks like that it's still bouncing a lot. And what we're trying to do is to condense that signal to a 3 dB dynamic range. So again, adjust. Look at your ALC and try to speak. To where the words are kind of equal. Pay attention to your audio. In other words, do not look off mic. You want to stay on axis to the mic at all times, and try to run that ALC meter mid-scale to 2/3, and then let me hear you, and we'll think about the EQ. Roger.
Roger on that. Just got the ALC mid-scale, It could make a difference. I can't tell. I've got to hit headphones on and listen to myself too. I'm on to myself there.
Tommy, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Okay, take your earphones off. Can you operate the radio without the earphones?
Sure.
Okay, take the earphones off, and what I want you to do is to look at your output meter as you talk. And the idea is that you keep that output meter up there around 100% as best as possible. And you can do that by two things. It's the tempo of your speech, and I don't mean you have to talk real fast like that, but you do, kind of put the words together there. And then also think about each word being similar in volume to the next word. So the whole thing about that game of watching your output meter is to keep that meter up towards 100% as much as you possibly can. You don't want it to falling down. You want to keep your RF audio up to 100%. Roger?
Roger on that. I guess I can see now what you're talking about because I'm holding it up there. It's about the same level as these calls, and I hope I'll get a little weak on the voice there occasionally. Let it dry and take a break. I'm not much of a talker, over.
Well, gosh, Tommy, you may be in the wrong hobby if you don't like to talk, Roger.
Well, I like to talk, but maybe I just don't like to measure how I sound out of that much. Anyway, I appreciate you helping me there. It's fun to do this kind of stuff. I really appreciate the full antenna a while ago. That vertical, it'd be good in a hurry, over.
Well, you can. You do have an AB switch on that, right? So you can go from vertical to horizontal in the flip of switch.
I do.
Roger. So yeah, I'm. Gosh, I have a 6-position rotary switch, and I'm just constantly, going around looking. But now, in my case, I'm not switching antennas. I'm switching SDR receiver points. But the same idea, looking for the best signal. And, right now, you're just toggling back and forth. I can see in your future a rotary switch and 6 different antennas. Roger?
Oh, yeah. I've been I decided I'd give the vertical a try. I had a vertical, put this vertical up, and they get away.
Roger. Now, you did find out where your equalization is?
I did, and it's got 9 different settings, right?
Okay, you're running that 991A. Is that a 3-band EQ or a 2-band EQ?
3-band.
Okay, if it's a 3-band, what you want to do, let's go to EQ now if you could, transfer to EQ. And if it's a 3-band, what you want to do is keep that middle EQ flat. Because the whole idea behind equalization is to strike a balance between the mid frequencies in the top end and the mid frequencies and in the bottom end. So since you're trying to balance those two things together, if you go ahead and EQ push the mid-range, it makes it so much harder for the top end and the bottom end to catch up with it to strike a balance. So what I normally suggest is that you keep your mid-range EQ flat. Keep your mid-range EQ flat. And that being the case, then I would increase my top-end EQ by 3 clicks. I would increase my top-end EQ 3 clicks plus from wherever you are. Roger?
Roger on that. I'm not on those two. So I'll give it a shot when I get time.
Roger, Roger. Well, you know, usually I can hear the difference when you crank it in, but you know, however you want to do it, Roger.
I don't try to do something wrong or get when he talks to you the wrong way. So it's taking a little bit to read through it.
Roger, Roger, tell me, well, we're faded out pretty much again, so Mother Nature's still not doing us any favors. So let me say 3s for now. Maybe we'll get together next weekend and we'll have better conditions. Roger.
Roger on that. I'll try to remember to call in to you next week. I'll work on where I might go. In fact, I want to see what I said on about it. See how it's going. I didn't realize the processor was turned up so high on this radio. But it was, I think it's about wide open. I might have hit a flash in with a flash. KC4VLOG with KC9 Victor Kilo Victor 73.
Roger, Roger, Tommy. And also, you want to be in your widest bandpass possible. So 100 to 2900 is the best bandpass. If you have other options, a lot of times I suggest putting all of your bandpass options at 100 to 2900, because it doesn't make any sense to run that radio in any other mode but 100 to 2900. If you run it in less, what you're doing is you're chopping off your top end. You're chopping off your bottom end, but you're chopping off your top end, and you need all the articulation that you can get pretty much, because the more articulated your audio, the easier it is for folks to copy the mail on you, even when you're down towards their noise level. So 3s. And have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend, Tommy. We'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net listening.
Whiskey for Japan, Charlie Lima.
Whiskey 4 station, come back with a call sign again.
Whiskey for Japan, Charlie Lima.
Japan Charlie Lima station, what's the name there?
Name here is Jim, and I'm in Zephyr Hills, Florida, right next door to Tampa.
All right, Jim, come back and tell me about your antenna system, and I'm going to check out the Georgia SDR and see if I can get a better copy on you, Roger.
Yeah, okay, I got a dipole that's 35 feet in the air running east to west with the dipole multiband with 2 resonators, one on each side, and running an ICOM 706 Mark 2G through a 922 Alpha.
Yes, and as I thought, your signal is very beautiful into the Georgia SDR, and I'm picking you up probably about 8 to 10 dB over on the Georgia SDR, Roger?
On the Georgia SDR, Roger?
Yeah, Roger. I'll give you a signal report when you come back. I just turned this radio on. I haven't turned it on in a long time, so I thought I'd give it a little bit of work, over.
Roger. Now, why haven't you been turning that radio on? Are you keeping company with another radio?
Keeping company with another radio?
Yeah, I'm cheating on it, over.
It knows it. It knows it.
It knows it. It knows it.
Oh, yeah, well, it waved at me today, so I thought I'd try it. I also hooked it up to the 922, the Kenwood TL922 Alpha amplifier, just to try it out, see if it would work.
Roger. And how much are you running right now?
About 700 watts.
Roger. That's a nice little chunk of power there. And what was the antenna you're using?
Yeah, that's a dipole. It's up at 35 feet, runs east to west. It's an Alpha Delta dipole, multi-band dipole, 40 meter antenna.
Roger that. Well, you're good to resonate or radiate actually north and south over that east and west antenna run, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Roger. Yeah, I feel actually I do pretty good all the way around, believe it or not.
Oh, roger that. But if you were to do a field strength meter reading, you would see the intensity shift to the broadband to your antenna versus off the ends, Roger.
Versus off the ends, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, well, we're pretty happy. We can't put it any other way, so we're stuck.
Roger. Well, you're just stuck in a beautiful way, because it's exactly the way you should run that antenna, you know, because Florida is a long state there, and so you want to be going east and west radiation patterns, Roger.
East and west radiation patterns, Roger.
I'm sorry, north and south radiation patterns.
A lot that I've been on makes it do it that way. So either that, I'd have two antennas. I'd have one east and west and one north and south. And but unfortunately, I can't do that.
Roger, that's entirely interesting, though. I've done that, and oh gosh, the signal strengths are tremendously variable, and that's probably about the best way to figure out a directional antenna at HF frequencies. You know, obviously, it's tough to build a Yagi antenna at HF frequencies, but you can get a lot of signal strength diversity by running one north and south and the other east and west, Roger.
And south and the other east and west, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Well, you're very tuned up for this. I'm not. I'm kind of an appliance operator, and I do a little bit of science once in a while.
Roger. Well, you know, you combine them all, and the more proficient you get at the one, the more proficient you get at the other, you know, and they all go hand in hand. We are recording now, and if you would like to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're running now about 1,180 some odd recorded QSOs. You'll be looking for one specifically entitled My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320, today's date. Roger?
7320, today's date. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, got it. Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to see if I can do that. I'll go on YouTube and see if I can find it.
Roger. Now, it will take us a couple of days to get it uploaded to YouTube. So after 48 hours, it will be there, should be there. And a lot of times we do it a lot earlier than that, but just so we can always make the deadline, we say 48 hours, Roger.
We say 48 hours, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Just to let you know, I just get done building an antenna from Create, and it's a wide periodic, and I just get done building it. That's going to go up in the air in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, now is that for HF or VHF or what?
HF or VHF or what?
It's for 6 meters, 2 meters, 440, and other VHF bands.
Roger that. Well, what's your reflector length?
What's your reflector length?
I don't know.
Roger. Usually the reflector represents the lowest frequency. It works for all the others above it, but it usually is 10% greater than the lowest frequency that you're going to run with it.
There's a whole bunch of elements that go up the log periodic, and so I don't know which one would be the reflector.
That's the longest one in the back.
Well, that's about 5 feet long.
Roger. Well, that's a nice little antenna there, and the thing about that antenna, it doesn't have a lot of gain in one specific area, but it does show directionality. So a lot of times directionality is a trade-off to gain, Roger.
Trade-off to gain, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. That's why I got a rotator.
Oh, yeah, you're going to put a rotor on it, Roger.
I'm sorry, what was that double with you? What was that?
I said you are going to put a rotor on it, Roger.
I said you are going to put a rotor on on it, Roger?
Oh, yeah, I got a rotor. I bought a brand new rotor for it. I just got to put it up on the pole.
Yes, yes. Well, that's the thing. I used to build a bunch of VHF and UHF Yagis. The problem was I never decommissioned them. The next one I built, I always compared to the old one. So pretty soon I had 38 antennas around the house. So it became a little, difficult for the wife to put up with it. So I have now started to give her back her backyard and her side yard and her front yard. And so I am decommissioning some antennas. I decommissioned a full-wave loop antenna for 10 meters. It's 38 feet loop. It's actually a rectangular loop, 10 foot on the horizontal, 8 foot on the vertical, on a rotor, mounted 10 foot off the ground on the shadow roof, her shadow roof. And so I did decommission that, so now she can look out and see her shadow roof and no antenna there. So I feel good about that. And then I had two VHF 12 element Yagis that I also decommissioned, and one 32 element UHF Yagi that I decommissioned. So we're coming along, Roger.
We're coming along, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. I got one other antenna besides this one, and the log periodic. I've got a gap Titan DX vertical, and that up at 20 feet. That works really good.
Oh, yes. And I hope you have them both on an AV switch, so you can switch between your horizontal and your vertical.
Your horizontal and your vertical?
No, I don't. I switch them by just manually taking the connectors and putting them on. I had them on AV switches, but I had a lightning strike, and it went right through the AV switch.
Roger that. Well, anytime it lightnings, the thing is, if you have an AV switch, you just take the output of the AV switch and disconnect it from your radio. So now you have disconnected both antennas by disconnecting the output lead from your AV switch. And HF frequencies are not critical, and you can use just almost a standard two-position switch, toggle switch. If push come to shove, just put that toggle switch in there and wire it, because at HF frequencies you're not going to be having any loss. Like if you were to try to put a simple switch in a UHF antenna AV switch, it could be difficult, because you could run into a lot of loss that way. But just at HF frequencies, you can just use a two-position toggle switch in there, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it jumped. I had everything disconnected, and it jumped 12 inches. The arc did.
Well, what I think is really neat, some folks take a glass jar, like a canning glass jar, one of those big ones, and they just put the end of the coax, after they disconnected from wherever it was going, they just put that end inside the glass jar, Roger?
Inside the glass jar, Roger?
Yeah, Roger. I had done that up in upstate New York, and instead of going out the end, it went out through the side, through the insulation.
It went through the glass?
No, it went through the rubber called the insulation on the cable.
Roger. Now, were you using 58 or RG8, or like half-inch stuff or quarter-inch stuff?
It was quarter-inch stuff, and it just blew a hole right through the outside covering.
Roger. You would probably have a better dielectric insulation using a half-inch coax than quarter-inch. I've found. Although in my younger days, I did when I went to the SV220. Until then, I'd been running 100 watts. So I'd been using RG8U or RG6U, and that was good for 100 watts, and it was even good for KW. But once I was tuning up, and I stayed too long at the farm, and I did find out that RG6U turns into spaghetti at 1100 watts, Roger.
At 1100 watts, Roger. Roger.
Well, I'll tell you, I learned a lesson about lightning. I've been struck 4 times, not me, but my equipment has, and I've lost a lot of equipment. So, and I gained some new equipment, had some repaired. So I've done everything you could possibly do to try to avoid getting a lightning strike. I've been hit 4 times, so I hope there's no more.
Roger, sounds like that dark cloud may be following you, Roger.
Roger. Okay, I'm going to say 7-3s. My wife is cooking up a super meal, and I gotta go get it and see how she's doing. So I'm going to say 7-3s. Nice meeting up with you. I'll look for that little taping, and thanks a lot. I appreciate it. You have a nice night. W4JCL.
Roger, Jim, and I'm coming to your house for dinner. You don't know it yet, but I'll be there in about 20 minutes. That's race to you, sir. Have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend. Good talking to you. Then, gosh, it's 3 minutes past 5, and we have turned into a pumpkin, so we are going to get out of here. We've appreciated the afternoon, and for those that managed to participate, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that should take you to our QSO-VLOG network and our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for today's QSO, which is entitled My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320, today's date. So with that, we're going to jump out of here. We will return the frequency to normal amateur use, and this is a KC9VKV clear.
VKV clear.
VKV and 9RMR. How's it going, Jim?
RMR, what's happening, sir?
Oh, same old, man. I was just zipping past and I heard your voice.
Roger. Now you're in your mobile?
No, I'm out in the shack.
Ah, roger that. Well, your shack sounds good, sir.
Well, thank you. Now, I was over hanging out by the pool, and I came in here to the barn and thought I'd scan around, see what the band sounded like, and I ran past, and I said, man, I know that voice.
Roger. Well, Bud, I was going to go eat with that other guy down in Florida, but I think I'm going to come over to your house for a swim.
It's a good day for it because it's hot.
That's a Roger. I was noticing as I came into the shack, it was like 100 degrees. Now, I know that's probably not right, but that's what my meter said anyway.
Yeah, I don't have a thermometer in here. Well, I guess I could see what the radio temperature is, but that's not really fair. It's going to be a little warmer than the ambient.
Roger that. Everything been going okay?
Not too bad. Went to the airfield this morning, did some flying, and been home relaxing ever since. Well, I did get the grass cut. I had to go over the grass again. This stuff's been growing like crazy.
Roger. Now, do you shoot video from your quadcopters?
I haven't flown a quad in a while. I sold my quad to Bill, and I don't know if he's flown it or not. But I've got a couple little quads, but I don't ever fly them. They're sitting there on my desk or something. But I flew the Corsair this morning, and got a little Cirrus I was flying around.
Roger. Well, you sounded really good, sir. I'm going to jump out of here. We got to get some dinner going, but let me say threes to you. Thanks for checking in. And if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for KC9VKV, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 7320. My Group Aircheck 7320 should have it up in a couple of days.
All right, well, I'll go check that out. In fact, I looked down the radio. I know if they have my compressor on, so maybe this will make it sound a little better.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I usually suggest about a 3 on that compressor setting. 3 does a beautiful job, and if you sometimes, people raise all kinds of heck if folks get their compressors on out there at 6, 7, and 8, and it doesn't do any much good, except it does suck up the wife beating the kid in the back room when you take a pause when you talk, Roger.
Yeah. Well, I turned it down to a 3. It was on a 4. I never turn it up, but usually I try not to run it unless I'm trying to jump in a pile-up or something.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I have a standard generic setup for any radio. We start with a 3 on that compressor, and then we go to the ALC meter and adjust the ALC meter for mid-scale to 2/3 by way of mic gain control. And once we do those two things, the radio should be operating at about a 3 dB dynamic range, which is a nice fat signal with no distortion. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, well, this is it with the compressor off, and it's running probably about 2/3 on the ALC meter, so that's about where it's at.
Roger. It did sound better with the compressor in there at a 3. It fattened it up nicely. All right, bud, we'll catch you later, sir. You have a great weekend, Roger.
All right, you too. Enjoy the holiday, and there's the compressor back in. All right, have a good one, and I will see you later. N9RMR. Hey, take care, Jim.
Roger, bud. 3's that way, sir. And this is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net, coming to a conclusion, and we've enjoyed it. Hope you have, and if so, then we'll see you next Friday. So this is KC9VKV returning the frequency back to normal amateur use. This is KC9VKV clear.